Up next, we have two presenters, Sven Griffin with Pflugerville, Texas, and Thomas Wilson with GIS Inc., a Cityworks partner. Sven will share how Pflugerville was able to adopt Cityworks AMS in just 10 weeks, which is amazing. And we will also see what is on the horizon for them. Also, you may have seen an article in the latest Cityworks newsletter that went out a few days ago, last week. So you can read about it there too. Sven and Thomas, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it from here.
All righty. Sven, go ahead and hit the first slide.
All right. Let's see, it doesn't want to advance. There it goes.
There we go. All right. So Sven's going to be telling you his Jumpstart story here in a bit, but what I wanted to do is just kind of explain what we mean by the term Jumpstart. Well, essentially, it's the first step to a more enterprise-wide adoption of Cityworks, and it allows you to establish a foundation that you can build upon as your business needs evolve and more functionality needs to come online. So, but there are some things to consider when we're talking about Jumpstart. So, first thing is, do you have your assets collected? So, if so, that's great. But if not, you can still use Cityworks to create spatially accurate work activities that are not attached to the assets. And as assets come online, then they can just easily be adopted into Cityworks. And who are you targeting with the Jumpstart? Is this for a single department, or is it more of a proof of concept for a larger enterprise-wide implementation, or both? Also, where is Cityworks going to live? Is the Jumpstart can be deployed within your own infrastructure, or you can take advantage of Cityworks' cloud-hosted solution in Cityworks Online. And also think about where you're planning to go after the Jumpstart and what you want to accomplish. So having a long-term vision is important, and knowing that this is really just the first step in the Cityworks process. And know that you don't have to bite off the entire implementation at one time. You can take it step by step. And that's something that Sven's going to articulate here in a bit with his success stories. Next slide, Sven. So with this, he's going to go over why they chose to do a Jumpstart, how he and his team were able to assist during the implementation, and what his team has done since the go live and what's on his radar for the future. So I will turn it over to Sven.
Thank you, Thomas. So kind of a quick overview of Pflugerville. Pflugerville is located just north of Austin, Texas. We are a city of approximately 70,000 people. In 2018, we were the third fastest growing city of over 50,000 population, and the area around us as of 2020 had 5 of the fastest growing cities in the United States. Since the time I've been here, which has just been short of 15 years, the city's roughly doubled in size. Which meant that our infrastructure roughly doubled in size, which led us to a point where we need to start figuring out how are we going to better manage all of our growth and assets. What we'd been doing prior was using a lot of Excel spreadsheets. We were using a fleet management software that we were kind of forcing to do asset management system kind of work, but nothing really enterprise-wide except for our GIS, which really lent us to work with Cityworks and kind of use that to piggyback off of our enterprise-wide system there. So we chose a Jumpstart for a couple of reasons. First, we had never, as a city, really had a whole lot of experience with an asset management system. We had gone and looked at several other cities, what they were doing, talked to GIS Inc., spoken with Cityworks. We had a good idea of what we could do, but we knew also from prior experiences that you'll never think of everything you want to do if you've never done it before. So we didn't want to oversize what we needed either. The other thing with the Jumpstart is it was fit inside of our budget. It was a budget-friendly way to kind of get us in the door. And as a city, we also felt that a Jumpstart allowed us to learn how to grow the system out instead of taking on an entire system that was already built for us. So we worked with GIS Inc. They brought a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise. They really helped us kind of run through the whole gamut of what this was going to take to be successful. We looked at the planning, analysis, design, development, and implementation training. They really kind of helped us hone in on when we kind of said, hey, this is our pie in the sky dream for what we want to do going out the gate. They helped us pare it down and really kind of say, okay, what do we need to be successful? So for us, that predominantly was looking at work orders and service requests. There's a couple other things we wanted to do as well. GIS Inc. has a lot of knowledge and experience working with Esri. So in our case, we knew we wanted a customer portal, and we used Esri's crowdsourced reporter. They were great. They tied everything in for us, gave us all the documentation on it that they did, really allowed us to have a way so citizens could go out, submit service requests. If they opted to provide their email address, it would notify them along the way where the status of their service request or if it became a work order was. Another thing we really wanted was Esri dashboards tied back to our Cityworks. As a city, we'd already been using Esri dashboards, so this was just a way to further expand those and give management tools and resources that they were already familiar with. Another thing that they did was put a support block into our contract. Support blocks are something we try to build in all of our contracts. Inevitably, there's something that's left on the table that you just didn't think of when you were doing implementation, or there's a situation where you just cannot figure it out as a new user, how something is configured, and that's just a great opportunity to reach back. And we did just a small 10-hour support block, and it was invaluable. We got a lot out of it. We also really wanted to do a quick implementation. GIS Inc. Sat down with us in the beginning, and we scheduled out an 18-week implementation, which sounds very fast and gave me a slight heart attack in the beginning. But once we kind of really stepped through it and we talked as a city, we knew kind of we wanted to have 6 months worth of information inside of Cityworks going into our next budget year. And GIS Inc. was really willing to accommodate us and said, if we can go faster, they can go faster. So by the time we were done, we took an 18-week implementation, and by the time we were out the door and live, we had pared it down to 10 weeks. So kind of things we've done in-house since GIS Inc. left was we've kind of done weekly project updates. When you're going through the process, GIS Inc. will give you weekly updates, but we took it and we made our own in-house updates as well. Just kind of let people know where our milestones were, what we were working on. We also did what we call desk checks, where we just went around as a GIS staff and went to people's desks and said, hey, are you comfortable with what you're working on? Are you comfortable with this date? Are we going to make this next milestone? Things like that. Another thing we did was we took the schedule GIS Inc. laid out for us, and we kind of came up with our own project board. We kind of put everything off onto one side, said, okay, this is our to-do items. Then as we were working our way through, we moved them into production and then finally completion. So it kind of gave everybody a really good idea of where we were and what needed to be done next. We also leveraged knowledge across the organization. I think a lot of times when you're doing implementation, you might stop with just directors or maybe superintendents, but we decided it was very important for enterprise-wide buy-in. So we went out to field crews and said, hey, this is where we are. Do you have any questions? Are we thinking about this right? Are we missing something that you all do? We also coordinated across departments. So we went live with our water, wastewater, streets, and parks. But there's a lot of other departments that you work with to make this happen. Our finance, payroll, HR, all these people came together, helped us get salary information that wound up inside of Cityworks, getting rates for machinery. So if we have to do federal reimbursement, we use FEMA rates. And end user support. And this is probably one of the things that made us most successful. GIS Inc. came in, they did training across 3 different groups, admin training, end user training. But when they left, we were able to sit down with people, and we got the Cityworks has a lot of great resources on their website that we provide users. It has really great help files, and that's really great. A lot of our users love that. But some of our users, they like to have something that's specifically tailored to our site. So when they're looking at the information, they have a real world example. So we've made those, we put them on the network, we make it available so people can download them, make their own notes on that. We've created Teams channels. We have emails that people use. We make ourselves available phone calls. We go to in-person meetings if we need to. Some people really like monthly focus group meetings. We accommodate those as well. Some people want to address issues as they come up, so we do those as well. I think when it comes to user support, everyone kind of has their own love language, if you will. So working with people and making yourself available is really a key to being successful. And something we've recently implemented is continuing education, which will be rolling out on a yearly basis. Whether you're a new user or an existing user, you'll have the ability to go to training every single year. Kind of what we've done since going live, we have taken the framework of our original dashboard that GIS set up for us, and we have since modified it, and we have made additional dashboards that really kind of tailor the experience to the department that needs it. We've added additional departments, so we've gone in and added facility maintenance so they can track big ticket items, new roofs, repairs against the air conditioning units, things like that. We've been able to go in, take crowdsource reporter, change code where needed, update additional service requests. We've actually even had the police department start using it. So instead of them emailing, if the officer sees an issue where a guardrail has been damaged in an accident, they use crowdsource reporter to report that. We've implemented storeroom. When we first went live with Cityworks about 18 months ago, we didn't have anybody to do our inventory and warehouse management. We've since hired 2 people, so storeroom is something we're actively implementing. Inspections, those were something we decided not to go live with because it doesn't make up the bulk of our work. We have since implemented those and eliminated the vast majority of paperwork. All of this kind of happened, as I said, 18 months ago, which, if you go back, is just a few weeks before COVID here in Texas. Everything kind of shut down 2-3 weeks after we went live, which was kind of a shock to the system because we were not sure how this was going to go forward with everybody kind of being in smaller work groups or being satellite at home. But we really had developed such a robust training system and resources for people. We actually did surprisingly well. Within the first 3 months, we had over 2,000 work orders and 2,000 service requests, and had been tracking about $30,000 worth of COVID-related activities that we were then able to go back to the federal government and apply for reimbursement. So kind of the next steps for us, we've been able to sketch out a 5-year plan already. We actually had that kind of in the works before GIS left. So we've already looked at more advanced reporting, implementing crystal reports, doing more saved searches, various analytics. There's various insights, and Thomas can talk a lot more about those. Also looking at integrations, where we're looking at integrating with our new finance software that we're in the process of launching, adding PLL and integrating with our SCADA systems. So we still have a lot of opportunities left, and we kind of know where our next 5 years looks. So with that, I will turn it back over to Thomas.
All right. Okay, so kind of to add on to what Sven was talking about is once your Jumpstart's complete, where do you go with it, right? So what we see is various organizations that have these successful Jumpstarts where they're expanding into other departments. Maybe those departments are hearing about the success that they have in the Jumpstart and want to expand those similar capabilities into their departments. So stuff like fleet or facilities, treatment plants. And like Sven mentioned, introducing inventory management into the workflow as well. But then it also extends into additional reporting. So that may be additional crystal reports or more advanced crystal reports, or including dashboard capabilities with Esri's Ops dashboard or insights for ArcGIS using Cityworks Analytics. So there's lots of possibilities there. But also extending the Jumpstart using the Cityworks APIs to introduce integrations. Using stuff like finance, like Sven mentioned a second ago, or citizen engagement, utility billing, and the like, as well as introducing automations into the workflow, either using the webhook capabilities that are native within Cityworks or integration tool sets like FME. So there's a lot of possibilities in knowing that the Jumpstart is just kind of the kickoff, essentially, of this the Cityworks enterprise-wide deployment. And I'll pass it over back to Cindy.